Yeah, and Darren, could you please put your faces on, please?
You're live.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the council. I just wanted, before we get started, just remind everybody, I know you're wondering why we're still on Zoom, and we're trying to change the audio, make it more efficient in council chambers, and they've still had a few bugs. So we're working on that, and hopefully next week everything will be all ready for us. So, and another thing, we're doing a special meeting first, which is a short agenda, and then we'll be going into the whole, which at that point I'll do the announcements that we want to make. So I'll just call this meeting to order, this Town of Drumheller special meeting at 4:30 p.m. And could I get a motion to adopt the agenda of April 11th special meeting, council meeting, please? Tony?
I'll move that council adopt the agenda for the April 11, 2022 special council meeting as presented.
Seconder, Crystal, I saw. All in favor? Carried. And we'll move right into 3.1.1, please. Dave, Director of Infrastructure.
Thank you, Your Honor. This issue is the request for decision for council for the Drumheller Municipal Airport runway and lighting project. This is a grant fund. This is actually two grant funded projects through the Strategic Transportation Infrastructure Program, airports. The projects are a lighting upgrade and a repaving of the runway, taxi, and tarmac. We tendered out the lighting at last year. It came in over budget, so we redesigned it, combined it with the pavement job, and re-tendered it out. After receiving the tenders, the airport lighting component of the work is still significantly over budget. However, the airport paving work comes in with award to this contractor. It'll come in 1% over the overall capital budget. So we are recommending that we do a partial award at this time for the pavement so that we can get the pavement work scheduled and done. It's important to schedule the airport pavement work at a specific time in the spring so that we don't interfere with the commercial uses that are up there, the crop spraying and that. If we don't do it at the right time, we disrupt their businesses significantly and the other commercial users of the airport as well. So we would like to get this awarded. There was several bidders. The one that we're recommending is the overall lowest cost bidder is the one that we're recommending. It's Border Paving Limited for $1,314,442.38. That is for the paving portion of the work only. The lighting upgrade, we have submitted a request to the provincial government for additional grant funding, and we are waiting to hear back for that. So at this time, the only section that's being awarded is the paving component.
Go ahead.
I've got Eric Dyson from MPE on camera here today. If there's any specific questions about the work, he can assist us in answering.
Thank you and welcome, Eric. I get a motion, please, council. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I move that council approve the partial award of the Drumheller Municipal Airport Rehabilitation to Border Paving Limited in the amount of $1,314,442.38, excluding GST.
Seconder, please. Patrick, comments, council. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, did we look at the possibility of incorporating this paving into our usual street improvement program? And I'm just thinking that that might be a cost savings, or does this have to be done before we do that, or what's?
We had thought about that. However, we're not ready for the street improvement job to be bid out at this time yet. I'm behind on that one a little bit. So in order to make sure that we meet the schedule requirements for the airport one, and because we were trying to make sure that we were hoping to do this in conjunction with the lighting one, which has some aspects to it that the normal street job doesn't. We thought there might be potentially some different contractors bidding on it. It's turned out not to have been the case. It would have been nice to have gotten them done by the same contractor at the same time. However, it's not quite worked out in our favor in that case at this time.
Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious if you could describe the project a little more. Is it just simply an overlay, or will it be upgrades to the parking areas or runoff areas?
The work is specifically for the runway, the taxiway, and the tarmac. It doesn't include any of the vehicle use areas. It's the airport, it's the aircraft use area specifically. Eric, if you want to speak on the aspects of the actual design elements.
Sure. Yes, it's basically an overlay project of the areas there that Dave indicated. There's also a drainage component helping with some of the drainage on the sides of the airport, as well as some tie downs for the planes and the wind cone as well. So those were the main components of the airport. And then of course, after we pave, repainting them appropriately for the aircrafts to see where they're landing, which is kind of key. And then of course, there's the lighting component, which honestly, we don't think pricing is going to go down on that anymore. Pricing seems to be going up on everything, not just these projects that were approved, near the beginning of COVID. And I don't think anybody expected pricing to be where it's at now. So we're lucky on the airport runway that we're still in a close budget, and the lighting. Like Dave said, we've requested more money, and hopefully we get that with the understanding pricing's going up.
Thank you.
Crystal, go ahead.
Thank you. In your request for decision, Dave, it says that the runway improvements is a little bit over budget, and that the lighting obviously as well, and that a letter is being sent to the province requesting additional funds. Is that additional funds only for the lighting or as well for the over budget on the pavement?
The request for additional funds was specifically for the lighting.
Thank
So
you.
The 1% over that we're going to end up on the pavement is just part of the dealing of capital budgets. A 1% is well within the plus or minus for a project of this size.
Okay. Great, thank you. It wasn't very clear in the letter, so thank you for clarifying that.
Stephanie, go ahead.
This is a pretty exciting big project, and sounds like it's going to be helping out the airport quite a bit. So I'm excited to get it underway and get the landing strip ready to go.
Anybody else? Yeah, no, I'm really happy about this. I think this is just another arm for the local flyers as well, for safety for the people that run businesses out of there, and as well, there's a lot of tourism that's coming in through that. So I think it's a win-win-win for everyone. I am curious on the lighting, Eric. I know that there are some people on the airport commission that have a lot of ideas and suggestions, and just hoping that you guys are giving them the ability to give any input that they can and maybe help drive that cost down a bit. So just want to make sure that we're, they are the flyers, and I know you guys are the experts on the engineering side, but I just want to make sure that we're giving those people a voice as well. So just.
Absolutely. There's a lot to be said for engineering that's on the backing of who's actually using it. So yes, those conversations have been in place. Pat's been excellent at providing good information for the airport and how it's used to aid in that. And that was part of where we tried to par back on the lighting design and retender it. But unfortunately, the COVID pricing took its toll on that end as well. So we didn't really see much of a reduction between the previous and this tender, unfortunately. Maybe still have some options if the province comes back and says no, but let's try and see if we can get the money from them first.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, it's an important thing, and just being on that committee myself, I see a lot of validity to getting that lighting going quicker, sooner than better. Okay, no other questions, council? Everybody in favor of that motion, please? Carried. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Eric, and thanks, Dave. We will move on to 3.2.1. And again, Eric, thank you for attending. You can stay on if you choose to, but it's your call. But thank you for being there for the expertise. All right, let's move on to you, Mauricio.
Thank you, Your Worship. Tonight, administration is pleased to bring the 2022 operating budget back to council we are recommending adoption tonight. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to go, I'm just going to highlight a few things in my report. And just give me 1 second. Can everyone see my screen now? Yes. Okay. So on page number 1 of my report, you will see what basically has changed between the last time that we presented the budget, which was on March 21st. That's when we brought it back to council for the second time. So what has changed between now and then is basically this here. In this table, I have highlighted what the changes to the budget are based on what council directed administration to do, basically review wages in recreation and review a couple of programs, make changes to a couple of programs under CDSP. So we have done that. So that has resulted in decreases in some of the expenses. As you can see, salaries and benefits have been decreased, as well as contracted services and materials. They have also been decreased. So now you see the new budget lines for those expenses. We also took a look at some other areas and see where revenue needed to change. So we increased user fees in the recreation area by 10,000. We also had to reduce some other revenue in some other areas, mostly under CDSP. And then another change that council directed administration to do is take a look at the library requisition and see what would be the recommended. So we have done that. Basically, we reduced the requisition from what they were asking. I believe it was 200. I'll have to check on that. Just 1 second. I think it was 232,000 or 230,000, I believe. Just 1 second. Right here. So it would be under this line here. So we reduced the library requisition, and now what you will see is that the expenditure came down. Came down by 21,000, I believe. 21,550. So the total requisition for the library now stands at 209,000. Now, some of the changes that we have done also have an impact to the programming under CDSP. So I have made some points under the first page of my report. I won't go over them, but I guess the one thing that I want to highlight is that we will need to notify Starland County about the changes in the use programming. And also there might be an impact on a grant that we have if we are unable to deliver some of the programming. So therefore we may end up spending a little less funds from the grant, and any funds that are not spent, we would need to return. So that may be some of the impact that I would like to highlight. So in total, basically the requisition has been now decreased from the 3.2% increase that administration had brought originally to now it stands at 2.1% for the municipal requisition piece, combined with other requisitions that the municipality has to levy. The increase that Drumheller taxpayers would see would be 1.9% approximately. But remember that this depends on whether their assessment values change too. So some residents may see a little less than 1.9, and some may see it slightly more than 1.9, but it would be around the 1.9 level basically. So to summarize, administration tonight is recommending that council adopts the 2022 budget as presented, and with a requisition of $9.1 million as presented. And I'm open to any questions that council may have.
Can you give me my screen back, Mauricio?
Yes,
Please.
1 second.
In the meantime, can I get council to make, somebody to make a motion so I can get this on the floor, please? Go ahead, Tony.
I move that council adopt the 2022 tax supported operating budget, having a municipal requisition of $9,147,735 as presented.
Seconder, please. Patrick? Comments, council, please. Tony, go ahead first.
Yes, thank you, Mauricio, and thank you for doing a few extra tweaks on the budget as well. I think bringing it down from 3.2 to the 2.1 is something more manageable in light of the increased costs and everything that we're looking at for this year. I'm satisfied with the outcome of it, and it's a budget that I can support for this year.
Patrick, go ahead.
Thank you. I agree with Tony's sentiments. I just had one quick question, or just to refresh my memory on the $85,000 increase in professional fees in that first chart that we just looked at.
Yes, absolutely. The $85,000 in professional fees mainly consist of $50,000 in development fees that we have included in the current year budget. It also includes $20,000 for social needs assessment that will be done under the CDSP department, and also a poverty reduction strategy consulting fees that we have added for about $10,000, and then there is $5,000 for other little things.
Hey, Crystal.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate with my fellow councilors that this is definitely a budget that, for my first budget, happy we are not increasing to 3%. So I know there was definitely some requests from administration for some positions that we could not justify at this moment, but I think we have a plan going forward that hopefully can work with other members. So I'm looking forward to collaborating on some of that. So thank you, Mauricio, for your hard work on this.
Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mauricio, for taking this back and sharpening your pencil. I guess I can certainly appreciate that in this day and age, over a 3% increase is a bit too much, I think, for the town of Drumheller taxpayers. So I think we've kind of pared it down to an acceptable point. I am certainly worried, however, when I look at the negative changes to the youth and poverty reduction programming. You know, I hope we can continue these things. There are people in our community that absolutely desperately need help. And I certainly hope that these programs and the momentum that we've had over the last few years will not be too negatively impacted. I would hate to think that we're kind of balancing the budget at the expense of the most needy people in our community.
Stephanie?
I'm definitely way happier with this number than the 3.2. So thanks, Mauricio, for looking into that and helping us out. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm glad that we are looking at an alternative here on that. We're not stopping the poverty reduction. We're just looking at a different angle of it. I want to thank Afolabi for all the work he's done. That he's so understanding and realizes poverty, and he's gotten this thing started a long way. And I think that with the tools that we have from the rest of it that we've approved, will give us the information that we as council can actually make decisions and make sure that that money is going to the people who truly need it. Thank you to Alicia for all the work she's done on the youth. Again, that's been a tough decision. However, when I look at the numbers and we had 10 youth using some of the facilities and 6 of them are out of town, you know, I hope that that FCSS can work with those children and work with the schools and connect them to a program that does work for them. Again, it's not that we're not putting the efforts into either one of those. I think some great ideas have come up that have avenues that we can work with other organizations on the youth program. So I'm looking forward to seeing the results, and thank you, Stephanie and Crystal, for stepping up and getting involved in that. Council, anything else? All right, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mauricio, for that. And I am way earlier next year, please. Crystal?
A motion to, sorry, I don't have motion to adjourn the special meeting on April 11th, 2022.
Thank you, seconder. Stephanie, all in favor? Carried. All right, I would like to now move on to our committee of the whole meeting. Again, starting at 4:53. And I'd like to call this meeting to order. I've got quite a few announcements. Tomorrow night, Tuesday, April 12th, there's a Newcastle annual general meeting at 7 p.m. at the Newcastle Hall. Travel Drumheller also has its annual general meeting, and we have Dr. Newstead as well as Julia Fielding here, so they'll be talking more about that, but that's Thursday at 6 p.m. Golf course opens this Friday for any of you golfers. Just thought I'd let you know. The 2020 challenge, I thank you. So many people out there picking up garbage. The town is looking incredible. I've been in a few different communities and it's really hard to find the litter. So thank you. Thank you to all of those who are participating. We do need some help on some of the main corridors. So if anybody's out looking for a place to go, the corridors do need a little bit extra work. And as well, I would like to let everybody know, thank you to the flood team. They've, with a bunch of mulch, they have placed this mulch at the old Public Works location. That's on 131 7th Avenue East behind there. There's a whole bunch of mulch, so please go. It's there for you to take and use around your flower beds in your yards. So we hope that you take us up on that offer. And finally, I would like to just acknowledge Vimy Ridge. At 5:30 a.m. on Easter Monday, April 9th, 1917, the assault on Vimy Ridge began. It was the first occasion on which all 4 divisions of the Canadian Corps attacked as a composite formation. The Canadians stormed the 7-kilometer ridge in the early morning, overrunning German troops along the front. They kept moving forward under heavy fire and captured the ridge in 4 days. The victory at Vimy came at a devastating cost. More than 10,600 Canadian soldiers were killed and wounded. Flags on the legislature, the Dougal Center, and the town of Drumheller lowered their flags to half-mast on April 9th, the National Day of Remembrance of the Battle of Vimy Ridge. And that's something we never want to forget. And thank you to all of those who fought so hard for us. I would now like to ask if there's any additions to the agenda. Nope. Can I get a motion to adopt the Committee of the Whole agenda of April 11th, please? Tom?
I move that council adopt the agenda for the April 11th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting as presented.
Seconder, please. Patrick? All in favor? Carried. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes of the March 14th, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting, please? Tony?
A motion that council approve the March 14, 2022 Committee of the Whole minutes as presented.
Seconder, please. Stephanie, comments? All in favor? Carried. And can I get a motion to accept the information on the board and committees minutes listed in section 5.2, please? Stephanie? You're muted, Steph. Go ahead.
Sorry. I lost it now. Oh, here it is. I move that council accept as information the boards and committees minutes listed in section 5.2 of the April 11th, 2022 agenda.
Seconder, please. Crystal, there's your hand. All right, comments? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we will now move on to our delegation for information travel. Drumheller is going to present their new strategic plan, which we're all excited to see. So welcome, Dr. Sarah, and we will let you take over the control of the agenda now, please.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to apologize for my very busy background. My ancient Mac laptop is not playing very well with Zoom today. So let's get presentation going here. All right. So hello, everyone. As our mayor said, my name is Dr. Sarah Newstead, and I'm the vice chair of Travel Drumheller. I'm also the executive director of the Atlas Coal Mine National Historic Site. So today I'm going to be giving a brief presentation on Travel Drumheller's new strategic plan. I'd first like to sincerely thank council for their support of Travel Drumheller. I want to emphasize the importance of this support to our that has led to our success over the last couple of years. I'm really excited to be presenting our new 3-year strategic plan today, as it will give everyone a good overview of where we'll be focusing our energies over the next few years. So our new strategic plan is underpinned by a revised organizational vision and mission. We thought that by refreshing these 2 goals, we could better encompass the work we want to achieve in the next 3 years. Our new vision states that Drumheller is an iconic Canadian destination, and our connected mission is to promote Drumheller and region as a premier year-round destination. I want to point out that we specifically chose Drumheller and region to highlight the importance of our partnerships and continuity of visitor experience with our surrounding regions, so Wheatland County, Starland County. Also, to note, we are highlighting the importance of expanding Drumheller's year-round tourism offerings, as this will facilitate the kind of sustainable growth we want in this local industry. So our organizational values and beliefs also underpin this strategic plan. We are committed to delivering high-quality marketing and value-based stakeholder engagement. We're also committed to collaboration, and we strive for our local tourism industry to be well informed, particularly in knowledge areas that will increase growth and sustainability for our local businesses, which is kind of like the whole reason for Travel Drumheller, is to increase growth and sustainability for local businesses. So one of the things that we discussed in our strategic planning sessions with our membership board and stakeholders was, what does Drumheller's tourism industry need? And how can Travel Drumheller help fulfill these needs? An overarching feeling throughout the meetings was that our local industry needs change. We're currently an extremely seasonal industry that in many ways is challenging for current and potential business owners. So some of the changes that we're going to be focused on facilitating are increasing off-season visitation, extending the stays of the visitors who come here, creating a more stable workforce, and developing a reputation as a great place to be. And then finally, having more local pride in our place clearly on display. So we took the feedback from the sessions that we ran on what needs to be changed and or developed, and came up with 5 overarching priorities for the strategic plan. The first 3 priorities are pretty clear: improving our understanding, our audience understanding, supporting destination development, and destination marketing. And with the last 2, however, one thing that came up in the sessions was a clear understanding that as a developing organization, we can't ignore the fact that we need to evolve and grow as an organization in order to better serve our community. Therefore, the last 2 priorities are focused on our organizational stability and our governance. I'm now going to take a minute to break down each overarching priority a little bit more to see how our strategic plan forms up. So the first priority is improved audience understanding. So a key thing that underpins all marketing and destination development is truly understanding your audience and client base. For Travel Drumheller and our stakeholders, it's crucial that we understand our audience so that we can tailor initiatives that work for that audience. So our goals over the next 3 years are to develop a data-based understanding of tourism in Drumheller, not one based on conjecture or feelings, one that's actually rooted in the data that we collect. Second is to create mechanisms to identify and collect relevant data. And finally, we want to improve the skills of our business owners in collecting their own data. And we hope that that last goal will help to empower our local business owners to use audience data to better improve their services and products, therefore increasing the sustainability and prosperity of their businesses. So, second major goal is to support destination development. So this is a major focus for Travel Drumheller as it looks to the future of our industry, and it will be a major step forward in making our community ready for larger investment and development within tourism initiatives. So this goal will address some of our pressing needs identified in our stakeholder meetings, such as improving our overall seasonality, developing our workforce stability, and cultivating our reputation as a place to be and a place to visit. So the overarching goal, obviously, of this is to develop a comprehensive destination development plan. And we're going to be working with specialty consultants and going through a really comprehensive planning process to come up with a big plan for destination development. for this region. Obviously, this is pinned on securing funding for the DDP and also engaging partners in DDP creation, because obviously we can't do a plan like this without fully consulting the stakeholders who are going to be affected by this plan. And finally, this goal feeds into enhanced community pride in the sense of place. As our local community becomes more aware of the unique opportunities in the Drumheller Valley that are provided for visitors, we hope that they'll have an increased awareness of how actually awesome this place is to live. And then this will generate more interest in people coming to move to Drumheller, and sort of that permanent sort of settlement and business development that we want to sort of generate from something like a destination development plan. So as we move on to another strategic goal, destination marketing is pretty straightforward, and it is one that is fundamental to Travel Drumheller's activities. So our main goals here are to maintain the summer season, or summer as an anchor season, and to continue marketing the summer season as we've been doing over the last few years. We also want to implement more customer care training to make sure that our visitor experience in the Valley is seamless from business to business, and make sure everyone is trained everyone who's involved in the industry is trained to ensure that our visitors have a good time here. We also want to increase the length of stay that people are staying here by moving people around the destination. So essentially, we want to expand visitors' experience here from just going to the museum and then maybe going to a restaurant and then going home. We want them to come and we want them to stay for a couple of days where they come to the big museum, like they come to my museum, maybe they go to Barney's, they stay in a hotel, they eat at a few restaurants, they shop at the shops downtown and sort of around the Valley. And that's what we want to do by increasing the length of stay. And then finally, we really want to start seasonality here. So we want to support businesses in developing those shoulder season activities, and make sure that we've got advertising in place so that if someone does do a shoulder season activity, we can push visitors to utilize that business. So as I mentioned earlier, our strategic plan acknowledges that Travel Drumheller is still a developing organization. So a major goal is to increase our organizational sustainability. So in the next 3 years, we're looking to develop and maintain a sustainable funding model, which is really, really important. And this is going to be very much related to our hotel fees that we take in. We want to also ensure stability within the organization through regular meetings and proper board governance and these sorts of things. We also want to build support and awareness of the organization within the community so that we have champions within the community and that we have champions for the industry within the community. And again, this ties back to some of our other goals of making sure the community is actually aware of how awesome it is here. Every time I come to council, I kind of reiterate how amazing this place is. And I think we're making some movement towards our community, our local community, realizing what an amazing place they actually live in. So finally, a related goal to organizational sustainability is improving governance. And we're also striving to ensure Travel Drumheller continues to create a progressive, well-governed organization through a coherent board. And our AGM is part of this. Drumheller is diverse, equitable, accessible, and inclusive. So have our organization function as a modern organization that's looking forward, which is really important. So just to put our 2022 strategic goals into context, here's some fun numbers from the past year that we'll be sharing at our upcoming AGM. So 4,000 visitors were assisted by our ambassador program in 2021. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the ambassador program, we hire travel ambassadors every year who are stationed throughout the Valley to assist visitors with their trip through Drumheller and surrounding regions, and make sure that our visitor experience is as seamless as possible for our visitors. So we had 33 million impressions in the digital media campaign we ran in 2021, with an astonishing 27,000 conversions, which is a very, very high rate of conversion. And we saw an increase of 48% in our web visits, which is also quite astonishing. We had 28 participants in our pilot drum discovery program, which is our customer service training program. And we're hoping to have more participants this year. And we had 16,000 views of our online guide, which is awesome. We will be producing a print guide as well this year, in addition to the digital guides. So yeah, we're very pleased with those numbers. So as you may know, there was just over 300,000 visitors who visited the Royal Tyrrell Museum of Paleontology, despite the closures and despite all the sort of COVID problems that we had last year. We still got more, they still had more than 300,000 visitors come. So we have a very, very strong visitorship that is weathering quite strong restrictions and whatnot. So we expect this year is going to be ridiculous, actually. We had 60 businesses attend our Travel Drumheller socials, which is amazing. And this is how we're kind of getting out into the community. And we had 150 businesses attend training and information webinars run by Travel Drumheller. We were also able to contribute $45,000 in direct marketing support to our stakeholder businesses, which is also great. So our new 3-year strategic plan builds on these successes and will continue to move Travel Drumheller forward in the right direction. Okay, so any questions? And if you have any questions that come up after this meeting, feel free to get in touch with Julie or myself through the Travel Drumheller email.
All right, well, thank you very much for that presentation. Crystal, I'll let you go first.
Thank you, Dr. Newstead, for the great presentation. I just want to say I have thoroughly enjoyed being a Travel Drumheller member, board member for the last 3 years, and I've really seen the growth that has increased even in just 3 years, and definitely not without the support of all the businesses, partners, including the town of Drumheller. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully being re-elected as another board member for another 3 years to continue on with the success of Travel Drumheller in our community and for all visitors and locals as well. So thank you very much.
Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Takes a lot of work and good work to you, Sarah, and Julia as well. I know Daryl's going to shake his head at this one, but I'm very pleased to see that there was actually a golf picture in your presentation. And you know, just a quick plug for golf. I don't think people realize that there are a lot of people that come to this valley to play our golf course. They don't go to the museum. They don't come here for the Atlas coal mine, although they may take that in eventually. But they actually come here to play the golf course because it's such an interesting golf course. The other thing about the golf course, I mean, we're starting golfing this week and we go till, you know, the end of October. So you talk about, you know, extending the shoulder seasons. The golf course is a good proponent of that. A couple of other comments I just wanted to make. I've been asked, and I don't know how to respond to this. How many visitors come to the Drumheller Valley? And I know over the last couple of years, it's been certainly an aberration and we don't really have, you know, that accurate idea. But is there some way that we keep, because I know lots of people that come to Drumheller every year. They don't go to the museum. They don't go to the visitor services because they've been here many, many times. So I'm just wondering if there's any way we can kind of calculate, you know, how many people actually come to the Drumheller Valley. I don't know how you can kind of come up with a number there.
Tom, that is a great question. And certainly one of the reasons why we highlighted in our strategic plan, this idea that we need to really start collecting audience data and visitor data. So we know that on a sort of normal year, the Tyrrell gets like approximately 400,000 to 500,000 visitors, but we're also quite aware that there is a whole bunch of folks coming to the valley that don't go to the museum and aren't hitting those sort of normal touch points. So one thing that we're going to be strategizing on is how do we collect that data? Because we might actually be closer to the like 500,000 or 600,000 visitors a year. So the other thing is, you know, how do we calculate people who are here on business, and are maybe seeing a few sites, but aren't necessarily traditional tourists, and sort of how do we calculate that sort of number? So I'm just looking at Julie there, but we'll probably be working with some of the hotels, and certainly the ambassador program helps sort of get a percentage of how many visitors are coming to the valley, but aren't really going to any of the sites and this sort of stuff. So that's definitely one of our priorities, is to make sure that we get a really comprehensive number on how many people are actually coming to the valley, because I agree. I think there's a lot of people here that aren't being, that are coming here that aren't being counted in our sort of traditional counts. At the Atlas, for sure, we certainly get a percentage of people that only come to us and don't go to the Tyrrell as well. So yeah, we're definitely aware of that. And it's definitely something that we're going to be strategizing on over the next couple of years.
Can I just to add to that, so we're building our relationship with Travel Alberta, and I think the key role for them, they do give us funding, but also is this data, because they have data experts. They have a whole team who do strategy and numbers and research, and I think that is just going to be vital for us moving forward, because I agree, Tom, we don't have any clear idea, and it's easier for Banff because they count how many people go through those tolls into the park, and we don't have that. So absolutely, we need to look at ways that we can more record that and know that, and then know that how successful we're being. So absolutely.
Another thing, and this might have to do with Reg as well. Have we ever thought of doing a Drumheller Valley video? I've noticed on TV over the last little while, Oak Bay, for example, has a really nice video. Vernon, saw the city of Vernon had a really nice video, etc. And I know they're probably very expensive, but I just wondering if we had thought of anything like that, because they sure look effective. You just want to rush out and go to Oak Bay tomorrow.
So I think, Tom, you're coming to our AGM on Thursday, and you might actually get to see some new videos that we're launching on Thursday that have been done by our very own Cody Schatz. They're just gorgeous, and they're not, maybe not TV CBC, but they are absolutely brilliant, and they will, I think, make people want to come and visit. And so you can see those on Thursday. And also, just as an aside, we just started to work with Travel Alberta to do an ad that's going to run in Cineplex in June, linking to Jurassic World. So we will be on the big movie screen in June.
My last comment, it has to do with housing of out-of-town workers. As we increase tourism, as all the venues in the valley, become more and more popular, they need more and more staff, and we're, I know all the venues are constantly hiring people from out of town, and I hear this. Well, my daughter tells me all the time, but I hear this from other people as well, that they come to town here and they want to work here, and there's just very, very little accommodation for them. So are you working with the town? Are you working with Reg? Are you working with other people and agencies or whatever to help solve that problem?
Yes, so we're going to be working with Reg, because we know he's doing his housing strategy coming up. And also the destination development plan, that will be a key element, because it's about the whole destination and about everything from housing to working to all sorts of skills needed. So absolutely, because we know it's Sarah is always looking for somewhere to live for her staff.
Yeah, so housing for seasonal staff is definitely a major facet of that, building a sustainable workforce. And again, as Julia says, that ties in with the destination development plan that we're going to be doing. And we have been working with Reg to try and strategize some some solutions for this. But certainly as an attractions manager, we see this right now. I'm struggling to write this. I have staff coming to the Valley that we're not sure where they're going to live, which has been a problem basically since the Atlas opened, so at least 30 years now. So
Stephanie?
Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very well done. We can really see all the work you guys have been doing. I'm looking really forward to the shoulder season growing and watching that all come to fruition. So thank you.
Thanks, Steph.
thanks.
Anybody else? Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, with you looking at potential data for number of people entering the city, there are tracking that they're starting to do for transportation works, number of cars entering places, and they do it off cell phones now. So there is more data available, and I can send you some information on what is available. That might potentially help you in that endeavor.
That
Yeah,
sounds great.
That would be
Thanks.
really useful. Thank you.
Geez, Eric, good thing you stayed on and visited with us for a while.
Right?
And I just want to say thank you. I love seeing the locals in these photos that you guys are using. It's really, really just kind of shows you're into supporting each other. Can you guys confirm the date for the AGM? Time, location?
Thursday at 6 o'clock at the BCF. And we'll have a presentation by Travel Alberta. You'll get to see these lovely fun videos that I've talked about and food from Bites and Bites.
Perfect. And okay, so I'm going to probably get somebody mad at me on this one, but so this 45K that you guys support for direct marketing, that's like you support all the businesses, whether they contribute or not, correct?
So most of that was so if you were a partner last year and you pay, last year it was $95, you got free advertising in the guide. So that's what that was. And also if you were partners, I think they were predominantly partners, we got photographs for free. Badlands Photography went out and took photographs. So we do prioritize our partners purely because they have contributed to us. But particularly if there's a topic or an event or something that we really feel fits with what we're doing, if they're not a partner, we will do it. I have to say, long term, I don't think that's going to be a thing. I think at the minute we're just trying to build engagement with us and get the word out. But at some point, you will have to contribute in order to get something out. Right.
So because the reality is this whole plan, and I know like we have people in the Valley who believe in tourism, some who don't. We know it's a multi-million-dollar, it's an economy on its own. And I guess I just hope that those who are capitalizing on it as well are understanding the work that you as Travel Alberta or Drumheller are doing. Travel Alberta has been an incredible support over the last few years that I know that they've really helped us even on different conversations I've had with different MLAs and stuff, MPs and stuff. So I just hope those that are, are all, that we're all benefiting in different ways. And I just hope that they're helping you guys step up and supporting all the work that you're doing. Because I know the whole thing of where you guys started a few years ago to where you are today, your leaps and bounds. A whole different program, and I thank past council that they continue to support and future this council. So I think we all see the benefit. I just hope that those who are actually benefiting are also seeing the benefit of the work you guys are doing. So congratulations to you all. I look forward to Thursday's meeting as well and these videos that are coming out. So great job, ladies. Thanks a million for coming out, and we shall see you Thursday.
Okay.
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Okay, let's move on to 7.1.1, please, Daryl, your update.
Sure. So thank you, Your Worship. So just providing a brief overview of our quarterly reports or strategic priorities for the first quarter of 2022. So there was 3 key priorities that I had on mine. CN rail lease, which we completed after many years of work on there. So that was a great thing. And now actually the rest of the work begins with that. So regarding actually trail development, garbage disposal billing. So this was a change that the landfill sort of put on Drumheller. And so that was effective April 1st. Those charges came out. And so we sort of helped put letters out, and we heard some feedback at the beginning, but so far it's been pretty quiet on that front. And then from a service and staff capacity, working with Valerie to put a request for proposal out for some services. She'll talk about it in a minute. And then a couple of reorganizations with small reorgs within our organization as well. So for development, we, in our first 3 months of this year, we hit $1.251 million in permits. So a 3% increase over last year. Total permits are 20 permits for the first 3 months, which were the same as last year. And there were 12 residential, 2 industrial, and 6 commercial permits. So it's a little bit of a highlight there, plus 24 development permits in the first quarter. So. And we've already seen, I believe we've seen as many development permits in April as we did in all of March so far. So we're expecting to see a busy spring and summer.
Great, thanks, Daryl. Questions? Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, Daryl, great to see the CN rails to trails coming about. I mean, that's something that been working on for many, many, many years, and I think that'll be incredible for the valley. And then this is baby steps right now, but man, you can see what it would be like maybe 10 years from now. I just also wondering if you could give everyone an update on the old hospital demolition.
Sure. Actually, I think Dave could actually speak to that when it's his turn, because Dave is looking after that through project management. So we're doing that and the consortium building and another building in Nakmine. So Dave?
We'll wait till Dave gets to his,
Yeah.
Daryl, that he can update it then.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Thanks for the update, Daryl. I was wondering if we had an approximate start date for the development of the trail from the intersection by Boston Pizza down to Walmart.
Oh, this is great, Dave. I'm just going to pass everything off to Dave so
Oh,
he can
perfect.
talk
gonna
about
say-
that. So
We'll let Dave take that one as well.
yeah.
Perfect.
Trying to
Thank
keep
you.
conversations under those and who are looking after him. Anything else on Daryl? Okay, I just want to let the listening public know, if you're reading this, Daryl's received 7,127 emails in the first quarter. So if you're not getting an immediate response, Daryl, you better get on it because you're not working fast enough. Just kidding.
And those are the ones I kept. Those I didn't actually, I meant to mention that. So if those aren't all the ones I received, those are just the ones I keep. So
No,
thanks.
I can attest he's a busy boy. So thanks, Daryl. All right, if there's no other questions of Daryl, we'll move on to Mauricio for corporate services, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So in my report, I mentioned that I will be having a separate briefing note for the strategic priorities. There was a bit of a technical issue, so the briefing note didn't get included in the agenda. So I will be presenting that next month at the next committee of the whole meeting. But regarding operations, I just have a few things that I want to highlight. We have all the property assessments from the town's assessors. So we received those last month, and we will need those to be able to prepare our tax bylaw, which is coming to council next month. And I also want to mention that in January, we mailed the license renewal notices for pet licensing as well as business licenses. In January as well, we had a tax recovery public auction for one property. We held that on January 21st, but we didn't receive any bids on the property. We also got approved for the municipal internship grant, and we are in the process of hiring an intern, and we expect that position to start in May. Budgets we have done now. We completed all the budgeting for 2022. Capital was done in January, and operating was just approved tonight. We have also been working on audit. So we have different pieces on the audit. We have the town audit. We have the flood mitigation audit, which the auditors have been working on along with administration. And we also had an FCSS that needed to be done, which is an annual report that we will be submitting this month. In this report, I didn't include any update on the grants. We'll be doing that in the next quarter, as well as any financial information. I didn't present any in this report, simply because we don't have enough data yet to be able to present meaningful information to council. But we will be bringing that at the next report that I present, next quarterly report.
All right, questions, anyone? Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, not really a question, just a big thank you on behalf of the citizens of Drumheller for all of your work in preparing the budget, for not just you, Mauricio, because I know you don't do it all yourself, but your team and all of the people in the town, all the supervisors, all the managers, who I know are very, very conscientious when they're asking for things in the budget. They know that this is taxpayers' dollars, and they're not spending money frivolously. They're getting just absolutely only what they need to operate and maintain the service. So again, thank you, Mauricio, and your team, and again, all the administrators and managers and everybody who did a great job in keeping the taxes for the Drumheller people relatively low. Thank you.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Yes, thank you, Mauricio, for all your work. Just to refresh my memory, when do we go for RFP for our auditors again?
Our audit, the last RFP was for 3 years, and it ends in 2021. So this is the last year that we have for the RFP. We have basically two options. We can negotiate an extension for up to 2 years, or with the current auditors, or we can go an RFP this year. It will depend on what we can negotiate with our current auditors, whether we have an RFP this year or we give them an extension.
Okay, thank you.
Tony?
Yeah, thanks you for your report there, Mauricio. Had a busy quarter, I know. Did a lot of lifting on the numbers end of things. So I won't drill you with any hard questions here. Just very curious and interested and look forward to the listing of grants that you're going to put together for the next report there. 2021, I assume, was a big year for us in grants, and I'm excited to see that come together for money that came into our community. So good job on everything.
All right, me, Mauricio. Couple things. Where these briefing note council financial reports improvements, like I know you've done a great job in improving them. Is that what the report is? Like, is that done, or are we doing more on this, or?
We are doing a little more on the financial reporting. So one of the things that I will mention in my report is we are going to be using a little more graphs. So anything that will enhance our presentations will be incorporated. Anything that will make any financial information that we present easier for the public to understand, that's what we are looking for, basically making financial information easier for anyone who is reading it to be able to understand it.
Okay, so you were bringing that forward in April, which you're doing now. So I assume we're going to see that in the next budget cycle. Is that what we'll be seeing? Or are you going to be bringing that again?
Those improvements will be incorporated throughout the year. So basically, when I present my Q2 financial report, you will see some of those improvements. And also when I present my Q3 report, you'll see additional improvements that we will be working on in the summer, incorporating them. Like I said, some graphs, some highlighting some of the numbers that right now we are not presenting that may be useful for council to know. So that information will be added to what we are already presenting.
Okay. And I know you're new, so the rest of them are kind of used to me, but I go by this strategic priority like it's my Bible here. And so did I, like on the utilities rates review, the terms of reference, we've kind of already gone over that, or is there more coming?
The only thing that will be coming back to council is when we finish the working with the consultant. We will be presenting the results that the consultant recommendations are going to be presented to council, and we expect that to happen sometime in late August or early September.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you, Mauricio, and thank you for that budget. And I know that we put you through a lot, as well as rest administration. However, you know, that's our job, is to do try and make it as efficient the operation of the town as we can. And thank you to everybody who helped and understands why we have to do what we do. So thank you. And I will now move on to 7.1.3, Valerie.
How's that? It's kind of a bit of a delay today, so I'll apologize. I don't know whether it's something with the electronics out there, but thank you. It's been a great quarter. And I guess I'll just cover for all, what are the most exciting thing is our Canada summer jobs and the people that do come to the Valley to work and work with us at the town in the summer. And we've pretty much finished all of our recruitment process for that. We're just waiting on the funding to be confirmed now from the federal government. So that should be any day. We've done a lot of recruitment and focused on recruitment in this quarter. And infrastructure, we've recruited and are still recruiting for mechanic and instrumentation technicians and some more of the skilled jobs. We've recruited as well in corporate and community services. As Mauricio said, we're recruiting for a municipal finance intern, the first one that the town has ever had. So we're excited about that. We're at the referencing stage, so that's a go. And we've also, our new senior services coordinator started on April 1st, and that's Karen Schneck. Karen moves from our events coordinator position into that role. So we're excited for that as well. We still have some outstanding recruitment in terms of emergency and protective services for community peace officers, but I do see a lot of recruitment happening on those positions throughout the province and different municipalities. So Solicitor General has some very strict guidelines, so I'm assuming that's part of the challenge in terms of finding enough candidates right at the moment. Worked on some job descriptions as well, and hope to look at a few more of those in the coming months. We've held employee and labor relations meetings with both of our union locals, and we will be having our second quarter meetings coming up here within the next week. And I think one of the most exciting things that we did in this quarter and all the work that we did was for our long-term service employees and our employee recognition event, which just tipped the scales over into April. And we were able to recognize some of our employees that we haven't due to COVID over the last 20 and 21 because of our events and the restrictions being held up, I should say. So that was really exciting to do. And I really like to thank Mayor and Council and those that were able to attend to be there in terms of that recognition. And a couple of other things, we renewed benefits with our benefits provider with Hillcrest. And so we saw some good improvements and changes to our benefits for our employees. in terms of some of the paramedical and other coverage. And we did an RFP in terms of the salary survey, which is just about done and should be out within the next week to 2 weeks, as well as our employee survey, which should be going out within the next week to all of our employees. Again, very important to get that feedback and have that interaction with our employees. So yeah, it's been a great quarter. Lots going on.
All right, I don't see any questions right now, but I have a few. So are you going to be sending reports like we get from everybody else? That we can
Yes.
actually read in advance so that we know?
Yes, and I was remiss in getting them for the deadline. It's in there. It just didn't get, so you could link with it. And I do apologize. That's on me. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have to prepare for these meetings, and to not,
Yes.
to try and off the cuff isn't really fair to council. So I guess I'm going to ask, so the salary review scope that was due in February, you're saying you're not done it, or it's coming up, or?
It's coming up. I'm not done it yet, but it is coming up. I'm working with our procurement person and putting the RFP together for that. Yeah.
Okay, so RFP, okay. So May, June, July,
Hoping to have everything back in June. Yeah.
okay. So this recruitment strategy, so is that like you're trying to fill the roles, or you've got a strategy to, I want to clarify what
Okay,
you're.
so the recruitment strategy is about looking at, number one, where are we recruiting to, looking at how we're advertising positions, where we're advertising them, looking at our salary comparison to other communities around us. Part of the challenge with our strategy is to look at, as we've heard earlier today, in terms of accommodation. That's been one of the challenges in filling some of the more technical and specialized roles. So it's to look at a number of different things in terms of how can we do that? Who can we partner with? What does housing look like for workers coming in to the organization? Those kinds of questions. Just a strategy built around recruitment in general. Are our salaries in line? Do people have places to live? How can we help people relocate? Just a number of different questions to build a strategy so that we can maintain a skilled workforce and retain them.
Okay, so you're working on that again this fall, this summer?
Yeah, I hope to have something together for June for that. Like it's ongoing right now with a lot of data collection.
Okay, and this employee engagement survey, you're doing that right now?
Yes, it's ready to go. We'll be sending the link out to the employees within the next week. So I'm working with our communications department in order to do that.
Okay. Okay, well, that's my questions. Thank you, Patrick, or Crystal, sorry.
Thank you, Valerie, for the information. The housing, is it something that you can work with Reg on as well to provide some details for the housing strategy? Is that?
Yeah, Reg and I have had some very basic conversations in terms of housing and some of the challenges that people are facing when they come. We're hoping in terms of that strategy and recruitment to be able to identify some other alternatives. One of the things that I've looked at is also looking at communities that are around Drumheller, that are close to Drumheller, that maybe individuals can commute to, especially if they're coming from larger centers. Commuting is not as challenging sometimes. So yes, absolutely.
Do you know
work with Reg and anybody else, and even perhaps the folks that were on the call earlier? It sounds like they have some common accommodation challenges as well. So
yeah, I know they do. Are you aware if there's any of the counties that are doing housing strategy at the moment?
Not that I'm aware of. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not either. Okay. Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Valerie. I appreciate that. Now we'll move on to Recreation, Arts and Culture. Darren, please.
Good evening, council and administration. Before you, I have my quarterly report for Q1 of 2022. So as part of it, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but as part of the Q quarter, on February 9th is when we saw the restriction exemption program relax to allow for more people to use our facilities. And then on March 1st, the masking requirement in indoor settings, including the recreation facilities, was removed. So we did, that was well received by many, but at the same time, not by all. So that was interesting. I completed a couple of my strategic priorities early this year. And so my third one here is a big one, and that's the Recreation and Parks Master Plan. And so gathered some data and research on that. And the terms of reference I will have completed and passed on to Mauricio and to Dave Brett for review by the end of this week for their feedback. And then from there, I'll forward it on to our CAO and on to council for their review as well. So it is moving forward. The community assistance policy is the next one on the strategic priorities, but work has not begun on that yet. And in fact, maybe pushed just a little bit into June or July, just due to some competing priorities that need to be looked at. So as the report is there before you, in the arena, one of the big things that took place for us was the fact that food and drink restrictions were lifted this quarter, which made a huge difference to minor hockey and the Drumheller Dragons playoff season. And of course, the Dragons made it into the second round of playoffs with some very exciting hockey this year. So we congratulate them for their season. The ice is still currently in the arena, and it's being used by the Drumheller Dragons for spring development programs, and that'll be the case until the May long weekend when that program shuts down. So we'll be able to take the ice out after that. The Aquaplex, they've seen an increase in usage since the beginning of January and with the restrictions lifted, so that's great. And we've been able to actually add public swim on Sundays back in February. We've also added some additional swim lessons in March. And in April here, we're adding an additional early morning lane swim. So we're slowly getting some of our staffing back to be able to continue with some of our programming. Edutaurs, they were slow to come back, but they are back now. And we're going to be seeing 2 to 3 bookings of them. And what that program is it's a lot of out of town schools that come and they go to the museum and they stay out there for their program, but they need something to do in the evening. So they book the Aquaplex for a swim for their school groups. At the Badlands Community Facility, just like the Aquaplex, we're starting to see an increase in usage here with masking restrictions lifted. So we appreciate that. Pre-COVID events such as the Fit Into It Challenge, Battle of the Valley, and Spring and Sports Arts Expo have all been reinstated this quarter, as well as the Music Festival also returned to us this quarter. So it was nice to see them back here. We started a brand new program this quarter, Parent and Tots, in the field house on Friday mornings. This has been very popular. We've been averaging over the quarter about 17 people each Friday. And with a one-time high, we had 48 of them attending on a Friday. So that was really exciting to see. As many of you know, the BCF celebrated its 10th birthday on March 12th. So thank you to council and to the community that came out to celebrate with us. Hard to believe that it's been 10 years of this facility already, but we look forward to the next 10 years, of course. And probably one of the last things here I'll mention is that due to production and shipping delays, we are still waiting for a couple of new pieces of our cardio equipment from our capital budget in 2021, as well as the banquet hall audio video upgrades have been delayed. And as council knows, we're getting council chambers up and running, but the banquet hall audio video is delayed, and we're keeping our fingers crossed. We'll say that June, July, we'll see that project started and completed here at the BCF. So all the stats for the arena, the Badlands Community Facility, and Aquaplex are there. I'm not going to go through them. Everybody can see the numbers for themselves and start seeing that we are starting to rebuild. Recreation is rebuilding. So that's great news. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Darren. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, thank you for the report, Darren. congrats again on the 10-year birthday cake and celebration. I can't believe it either. It's been 10 years. Just wondering if you could give us a glimpse in the next 3 to 6 months from now with respect to weddings and conventions. Has there been any noise? Has there been any interest? Are there any hard bookings?
So the weddings coming up are a bit slow still, just because weddings are typically planned so far out in advance, right? So we do have a couple coming up here. Of course, with the flood mitigation project and that in the green space behind us, we had to be very careful of what we were committing to some of our weddings and that. Some have been very understanding, and they're using other parks in our community and that, and still using our facility. But until we hit into July, weddings are still hit and miss. And then August, September, and actually October are very busy for us with wedding seasons.
Okay, is that like 6 or 8 or any bookings yet, or
For
either conventions or weddings?
weddings, we definitely are, like I say, August is right full on weekends. September, I believe, is full on weekends as well. We've got one in July. I think there's one in June as well. I don't have the bookings right in front of me to answer that completely, Councillor Locker.
Good to know. Thanks.
Tom, go ahead.
Thanks for the report, Darren. Things look like they're progressing nicely. Just regarding the Recreation Master Plan, I've been asked by actually more than one group if they will have input into this master plan, if they will have the opportunity to present, or how will that work? So for example, if disc golf wants to do a presentation to this master plan, would they be allowed to do that, or what do you kind of foresee as the process?
So certainly it'll be up to the consultant and consultant team how they gather the information, but speaking and meeting with stakeholder groups and clubs and organizations in the Drumheller Valley is part of the terms of reference. We're not listing everybody specifically in that document, but they will be required to meet with all of the groups, and they can do it in whether it be through questionnaire surveys, but preference will be to at least have a stakeholder group meeting so that they can meet all the players and understand and have conversations with them to understand their needs and their wants for the community going forward.
Anybody else? Okay, so this, so you haven't actually hired a company yet, correct?
No, the first step of it was the terms of reference. So once the approval on the terms of reference is in place, and like I say, council will be having an opportunity to review that document, then it'll go out for an RFP, request for proposal, to be able to hire a consultant to come in and take on all of this work in conjunction with.
Okay, so that's excellent. So as Tom had mentioned, I think it has to be adamantly council wants every group to have a say. So that we also had the opportunity of attending the curling meeting this last week. It went very well. And so obviously there, we want to make sure that you guys have got that involved. And I would ask you to reach out to Ryan Semchuk. He made an offer to the curling group there on some ideas that he has that they're looking at right now. So if you could make that effort and connect with him, that would be huge. Just want to talk about the audio and stuff at the BCF. I know that's being worked on as much as our council is, and you guys are missing pieces, so totally understand. Just curious on I know the Celebration of Excellence is June 9th, and chances of having new audio won't be ready. So are we okay there that you guys can patch and stuff? So I just hope, just a heads up, that if you can maybe work a few times with Joel on that presentation, just to make sure that it's ready. It just came up today at our meeting. And going back to poverty reduction and youth, I know that past council worked very hard with FCSS on a recreation fee assistance program. And I just want to, and I know that that part of that is coming up in April's presentation, but is there a way that, you know, some of these young people that are falling through the cracks, or families, that we can be really promoting that a bit more? Because again, they, you know, with poverty reduction and youth, anything all the research I've been doing lately seems that we can keep them involved. Like, you know, sometimes they find an activity they didn't really realize that they like. So I just want to, you know, hopefully you guys are finding more ways to enhance that program, as like, or promote it, I guess, as well as like the two-knee swim, two-knee drop in. Like if there's, you know, maybe I just hear that there's not enough of the times. So if there's ways to incorporate that, and I know you're trying to run scheduling and everything else. And by the way, I've had accolades about your morning swim open, so thank you. It takes a group of people that were, you know, concerned about their lane swim, so thank you for that. But, you know, let's see if we can really kind of find another way to help our youth and those on the poverty reduction level. And I think that is all my questions, Darren. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. And thank you for being ahead on your thing. So that's, yeah, Parks and Recreation, and you're saying community assistance will move to July, you figure?
Yeah, I will still continue to keep it on as a priority. It just may be pushed back a little bit is all. So.
Okay, I just had a few people, I know that just before, I know it's not one we're talking about, but on that community assistant, you might want to talk to some people that have actually used that program. They say it's still very cumbersome, the way the way it's written. So that would be good to get some feedback from some of the previous users.
I do need to have discussions with my director, Mauricio, because I was not present at the time this particular strategic was priorized. So I want to make sure that I'm meeting council's expectations with it as well. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Darren. Okay, are we going to just move past 7.1.5, Daryl, today? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we'll just move Greg on to the next meeting. So Dave, you've probably got the most important questions everybody wants to ask. So we will let you have the table on the floor now, please.
So I'll start with the question that got deferred to me from the CAO there about the hospital and the consortium demolition. We've retained a project management company to oversee that work. They've indicated that based on their experience running demolition projects in other locations, they expect to have the buildings both down in 5.5 months. The front end that they're currently working on is pulling together the environmental reports, especially on the consortium, which we've just purchased. We need to make sure that the asbestos checks have been done and the environmental checks have been done. Once that's done, we'll send out a tender. We're setting the tender process up to encourage local bidders as much as possible. And then once that has been awarded, we will be knocking the buildings down. So the expectation is 5.5 months to have this work fully complete. So end of the summer, early fall is basically where we're currently aiming for. I have emphasized to the project management company that sooner is definitely better. So anything that we can do along the way to speed the process up is going to be greatly appreciated by everyone. Moving on to what was actually written in my quarterly report. Bridge 11 is making progress. We'll be scheduling the public information sessions for the Wayne Valley residents and the Dallin residents within the next few weeks. The NACMine Force Main tender package has actually been finalized and was released to the public, was released to contractors last week. So that'll be coming forward to council for award in a few weeks' time once the tender process is complete and we have the award recommendation. The beautification work, Kevin Blanchett, our operations manager, is working on planning the work that has been identified from the request for direction that I brought forward to council at the briefing note last month or the month before. The asset management plan training has been done, and the development of the GIS inventory logs is underway. And then the item that got asked about, the CN Trail project, it is being, the section that we've asked to be looked at for this year for scope has been the 19th Street to 5th Street section, starting at the 19th Street end. We'll do as much of the work as we can this year. The goal is to reuse the asphalt millings from previous street improvement jobs and get that work done and sealed so that it is useful. There's one section where I've got some concerns, and that's where a storm line crosses it closer to the 5th Street end, which is why we're going to start at the 19th Street end in case I need to do any work on that storm main before I install the asphalt. I don't really want to install asphalt and then have to dig it up in a few months or a year's time to fix something underneath it. So that is where we're working on. And then very likely in next year's capital budget, I'll be asking for additional trail funds so that we can be getting as much work done every year as possible on the trail system. So those are the priorities off of the priority list. So I'm making fairly good progress on all of those at this time. Just to pull some items from the actual operation side of things, the airport, we sold $24,500 worth of fuel in the first quarter. That was even with a poor January because of how cold it was. There wasn't many people flying. And we had to shut down fuel sales for a few weeks due to a leak from the vent system on the fuel. But we still sold more fuel in the first quarter of this month than we did in either 2014, 2015, or 2016. So, or 2017 actually. So we are actually doing very good on the fuel sales at the airport. Facilities wise, we've gotten some stuff done on updating our licenses and maintaining the certifications. We installed some more security cameras for safety and security at the Public Works Yard. And we installed some additional lighting behind the Aquaplex area to improve visibility back there. Operations wise, because it was the last portions of winter, knock on wood, the plowing and sanding and snow removal were going on. We've also started pothole repairs. We also had to make a very great effort on thawing of catch basins and culverts due to the cold snap and the freeze thaw that was happening at the end of March, beginning of April. That took up quite a bit of staff time to keep the drainage system flowing correctly with the nightly freezings that were happening during that period. From the utility side of things, we had an issue with discoloration of the water during the first quarter. It has been resolved at the plant. The most distant portion of the networks has been reporting that they're still seeing some evidence of it, but that is mainly due to the fact that they are the most distant portion of the network. So it's still flushing out from those ends. This would be the very extreme ends of like the pipelines within our system, but also some of the stuff from Knee Hill and Startland, it's only just kind of reaching them. So it is basically been a resolved issue at this point in time. Health and safety wise, our numbers were good. Same with the municipal airport numbers and the work order numbers. We did get a greater number of line locates requested in this first quarter compared to last year. So we'll see if that trend continues. I think that's pretty much it, unless anyone has some questions for me.
Lovely report, Dave. You're the best.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're the best, but you're pretty darn good. Regarding the discoloration of water, I mean, that's something that I've heard about from many people over the last number of months. Right to the point of people saying, yeah, it has discolored my clear water container, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just curious, you know, like any background information about why this has happened, if it will happen again, can we do anything to prevent it happening in the future? And again, I mean, I told people that, you know, just because your water is absolutely 100% perfectly clear doesn't mean that it's safe. I mean, perfectly 100% clear water can be absolutely deadly, and water that is colored and a little murky can be absolutely safe. But generally, people don't really understand that kind of an idea. So when we get water that is discolored, man, it's serious, because people look at that like, you know, what the heck is the town doing? I mean, this is one of the absolute basic services that the town provides, and they can't even get that right. So I've heard, you know, heard earfuls on this over the last few months, and I'm sure hoping that we can, you know, do something so that it doesn't happen again.
So the operators at the treatment plant have tweaked the processes. So we've addressed the problem that was occurring, and this exact same problem should not happen again in the future. Where this came from was when the plant was originally constructed and the raw water reservoirs were built. There was an additive was added into the raw water reservoirs into basically the first of the 4 ponds over there. And the way the process was running was we were taking from different ponds. When the additive was added in the pond, it settled out into the bottom after it did its job. And when we cleaned out the ponds a few years ago, it was covered by sediment, and now it no longer is. So it got disturbed into the flow process. So we've adjusted our processes so that we no longer draw directly from that first pond. We're drawing from subsequent ponds to allow it to settle out in that first pond and not get into the plant system. We've also adjusted our treatment processes to knock it out so that we're not going to see the same issues. So this issue has been addressed. We're aware of it. We monitor it for it, and we now know exactly what we need to do to eliminate this from repeating in the future.
Good explanation, Dave. Crystal.
Well, I've been having lots of questions because people are really, really excited about the new CN Trail. Do we have an idea, maybe Midland Bridge completion?
So at this moment, I would say my intention on Midland Bridge is that that's not going to be a this year thing. The issue is the Midland Bridge was designed and built as a railway bridge. So structurally, it is very likely more than strong enough to take pedestrian. However, it's not decked or handrailed for pedestrian. There's also no actual pathway built to it yet. So I'm going to be working with a consultant this year to start figuring out what I need to do to Midland Bridge to convert it to a pedestrian bridge with proper code required handrails and decking, so that we can make sure that we get it in, and figuring out the trail system adjustments that need to be made so that someone can actually walk on a path to the bridge and not shortcut across a hill or through a dirt way. That is on my list of things to do. It's just not something that is going to be achieved in 2022 at this point in time, based on my current workloads.
Understandable, Dave. You have the biggest workload, I'm sure, out of anyone. So I think people are just going to appreciate an idea. So I know everyone is really looking forward to that piece. So thank you for the update.
Okay. Any other questions?
Geez, Dave, I'm trying to find one for you. No, but I do like the idea that you've given us a timeline on those buildings, so that if people ask, and I don't think then Councillor Zarisky will need to ask you any further, because now you've given them a timeline. So I think we should all be good. So thank you, Dave. All right, we'll move past 7.1.7 for tonight, and we'll move on to 7.1.8. April, please.
Good evening. Before you is the Q1 2022 report for community development and social planning.
With regards to strategic priorities, you'll note there that the community social needs assessment and social equity strategies, whilst there has been some progress, will now proceed with gusto following the budget decisions this evening. So we'll be able to proceed with those. Just a key point on the social equity strategy with regards to some of the poverty alleviation programs that we have in place at present. On the Hot Meals program, it's important for council to be aware that there are going to be significant increases in the costs associated with that program just due to increased costs of fuel and of food. So we are obviously ensuring that clients of that program are aware. And just on the recreation fee assistance policy, as it had been mentioned, that in the first quarter there were 14 applications received. There have been more in this quarter than the new quarter. And so when we say 14 applications, some of those will be a single person, but many of them are a full household, etc. So certainly some work to be done on getting the word out further. I agree. And then just a couple of things on the financials. So we do have a couple of grants that have been extended until the end of the year, and they were around predominantly around youth and social equity. So we'll be reviewing those in the next weeks to consider how they will be allocated now, in addition to connecting with Starland County with regards to the contract that we have with them to revise it to remove the youth portion. I think they're the main things that I was going to kind of elaborate on. I have provided a second page there of just some key data, and I'll update this each quarter to have the quarter's data and the year to date for aggregate, so that you can see how those things are progressing. And unless there's, yeah, and I guess I'll just look to take any questions if there are any.
Council? Go ahead, Tom.
So one of the comments that I had was regarding the Hot Chocolate Festival. That people I talked to said it was a really good idea. And they had experienced something like it, I believe, in Cochrane. But the one in Cochrane was kind of better, apparently. that the one here seemed to be a little bit disjointed. Some of the businesses weren't quite sure. Anyways, it seemed like a really good idea, and I guess this was kind of the first time it was done, and I'm just wondering if it will be kind of fine-tuned for next year, because there were a few people that were a little confused, and one place had this and one place didn't, and that kind of stuff. Just a question.
Yeah, obviously wasn't here for any of the Hot Chocolate Festival myself, and so just catching up on those things, councillor. So, and I'm not sure whether it will continue in 2022. I'm not sure if it was planned to be a recurring thing or if it was something that we would, doing one time to just see how it went. But I'll certainly investigate that and come back to you.
Tom, what did the one in Cochrane supposedly do different? Just that I'm curious, more out of curiosity.
I guess one of the comments was that all of the businesses that participated in it had some very fancy, weird and wonderful kind of hot chocolate. And apparently some of the businesses in Drumheller that participated basically, here's your cup of hot chocolate, go for it. And so I don't know, it just seemed, they said that the one in Cochrane, it was a kind of a special event wherever they went, to whatever business participated. They had, some of them had alcohol in it, some of them didn't. The ones here, apparently the cups were quite small, and they were paying kind of the same amount for one that had alcohol in it and one that didn't. Just things like that, that it just wasn't, the continuity didn't seem to be there, but everybody said, hey, this is a great idea, and they love kind of doing it. It just seemed to be a little bit hit and miss.
Okay, well, that's good. Yeah, something to work on. So anyways, on this, I guess on your report, which was with that whole so the poverty reduction part, we will be, when will we see those results, April? Like, is there a plan? I know it's just new and we just passed it, but you probably have like a vision. Is that like a 6-month thing, or is that something? I'm just hoping that we can see that before the next round of budget, because I'm hoping to push Mauricio a little earlier.
Yeah, so in terms of the development of a social equity strategy, now that the budget has passed, we'll obviously develop those terms of reference, not in a dissimilar sort of place to where Darren is, and then once they're approved, putting an RFP out for the consultant to get to work on that. And it doesn't have to take a long time. I would imagine that within 6 months then of that going out, that we would have something much more tangible to be working with as an organization and for council to make some decisions ahead of the next budget. At least that's my intention.
Because I think that's the big thing, is that we can get some actual wins that the community can get. So if we can get some really tangible things that, if we put money aside for that actually goes. So, okay, I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about, I just actually, you didn't get to work with Afolabi a lot. And I just want to reinforce that, I think he did what we wanted to, except I think he got pulled in a few directions that probably, in all fairness to him, didn't kind of get to where we were going, but he did an amazing job, and so did the committee and stuff. So that's why I'm looking forward to this report, that we can actually have tangible and just say, okay, whoever is working on whatever point, we can actually get that done. So
absolutely.
I'm excited to hear that.
And the same with the needs assessment too. It will certainly provide lots of really useful information and insights for council to make decisions around social needs and how we respond to them in the coming sort of 5 years.
The assistance program that council passed last term, if we can find more of those kind of programs as well, that way we can continue to help, as many youth, as many, people that are struggling right now feel like they're part of the community. And that's really what it comes down to at the end of this whole poverty reduction thing and youth. So just, just want to reinforce that we're all in this together, and we just need to find the solutions. Go ahead, Crystal.
Thank you. Just a little bit on that. So under your grants, it does say that there is funding extended until December 2022 for use on youth and social equity programs. So does that include having Alicia around to the end, or is that not part of that grant program? Sorry, I'm still learning.
No problem. Yeah, so the grant funding that we've received, it's for different aspects. So part of it will be towards salary, which would have been salary for the youth program coordinator, and then there's a salary that's for sort of social equity. And then other aspects of it will be for program delivery or for promotion or supplies, etc. And so given the decision made by council earlier, we'll have to go back to the table and look at exactly what those portions are, what has already been delivered in this last quarter and what has not been delivered, and how that might be delivered moving forward. And if not, which is kind of what Mauricio had spoken to just briefly, is if there isn't a way to deliver that, which obviously we'll try every way that we can, but if there isn't a way, then those funds would simply be returned to the grant provider.
Okay, that clarifies. I have one more question. Now it's lost. I'm sorry, April.
That's not a problem.
It'll come to me when I'm sleeping tonight. I know it. I'll email you.
You can send me an email tomorrow. That's okay.
Yeah, thanks.
And I'd like you to continue to see if those funds will work with the other things that you and Crystal and definitely looked at with the center and stuff like that. So let's try and make those work if we can.
Absolutely. If we can keep grant money in this community, we absolutely want to do that.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, that spurred my next question was, are you aware of any future grants coming available to apply for?
With regards to like youth and social equity specifically, or generally speaking? I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you that the mental health, Rural Mental Health Network has just been awarded just over $37,000. And so that's funding that will support action in Drumheller and Starling County. It's a partnership. And we are the backbone. Drumheller Valley FCSS is the backbone organization of the network. So that's just green light. Mauricio got an email today to say expect some money in the account. And so that's really positive around mental health, and certainly we'll look to be spending that in ways that are helpful to all. I haven't seen any new grants specifically around youth or social equity, but again, I'm always keeping my eyes peeled, and I know that there are new funds around housing, which is obviously key to social equity and poverty reduction long term, and so certainly Reg is keeping his finger on the pulse of that, and I'm really excited to be involved in sort of the housing strategy, because again, housing and social equity go hand in glove as well. So
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, April. Okay, I'm going to go back to 7.1.7 because I understand Brett here is going to give us an update on communication. So Brett, it's all up to you.
Oh, goody. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's been a busy first quarter for sure, and we've been super excited with all of the moving pieces and all of the initiatives that we have coming our way. 2022 has kicked off on a great foot, and it has been super busy. To kind of kick into the strategic priorities front, the internal communications, Valerie mentioned the all staff meeting that we had in which we presented long-term service awards, and kind of a precursor to that was the circulation of our internal staff newsletter, which went over very well. It was put on our intranet, and we've received only positive feedback from that. On the public participation front, the draft questions are complete and have been circulated to council for review. I don't really have any update on that, but I'm hoping all of you do. And then our digital marketing campaign for the BCF and wedding facilities has been launched. It is published. It is going very, very well. As of today, we are at over 212,000 impressions, which is huge. And I checked the landing page for our top viewed pages on the website, and wedding facilities is definitely bumped up to top 5, which is huge. Taking a look at the analytics, this quarter we have had 16 total news posts on the website. On Twitter, we have had 37 tweets, with the best tweet going to the Plaza reveal. People were very interested in interacting with that tweet. Most of it was positive, which was very, very good to see. On Instagram, we've had 4 posts, 36 stories, and the best post was the building enhancement grant. Once again, very positive sentiment on that one. And then looking at Facebook, we had 92 posts over the first quarter, keeping in mind that this is the platform we see our most engagement on. And the best post on there was the capital budget. So hopefully the operating budget going now will be just as good. We have expanded our top 10 most popular pages on our drumheller.ca. And I'm just going to cover the top 5. It's the home, the Aquaplex, the Badlands Community Facility, careers, and contact us. Badlands Community Facility is quickly rising up the ranks. And then taking a look at all of our channels from YouTube to Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, we have watched growth across all of them, and very positive sentiment mixed with the negative sentiment. But we look forward to all of the initiatives and all of the objectives coming our way in the future. We know that it's going to be a busy, busy year, as first quarter has kind of proven to us. So we look forward to what the rest of the year will bring.
Thank you, Brett. Questions, anybody? Go ahead, Tom.
I didn't know whether to give this question to you or to give it to Dave, but Dave is getting so many questions, we're going to have to call him Download Dave or something. Anyways, my question regarding C-Click Fix. A number of years ago, again, we started the C-Click Fix app, which has been, I think, very popular for those people that have used it. I've used it many times. And one of the commitments that we said to the community was we were going to go out to the community and help people learn how to use this. And then COVID hit. And of course, we couldn't go out to the community because there were no community meetings. And I still have people today asking me, what is C-Click Fix? How does it work? Et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just wondering if there are any plans in the future. Oh, you see, Dave is going to jump in here. If there are any plans in the future of going out to the community and kind of getting people up to speed on the C-Click Fix. For example, attended the Nackmine Community Association Pancake Breakfast on Sunday yesterday. Wonderful breakfast, by the way. And there were, 50 people there at any one time, kind of coming in and out. If somebody had been there with C-Click Fix, I think we could have probably brought a lot of people in the community up to speed on that. So just wondering if there are plans coming up for that.
So I can speak to that. I've been in this conversation with Erica regarding this before she went on took her time off. So we are developing a plan to go out and engage with the public on the training, because we do realize that I'm saying a lot there. We do realize that COVID kind of blew all of our great plans out of the water. So we are kind of reestablishing those plans and moving forward on it. So we are in the process of reestablishing that public engagement and training for that program.
Thanks, Dave. Anybody else, Brett? Well done on your first council meeting there, Brett. Way to go. Okay, well, let's move on to Mr. Reg Johnson for economic development update, please, Reg.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. Though some of my thunder's been stolen throughout the meeting, but yeah, my first update is on the Triangular Plaza. So we had a great first quarter on that. Completed final design and budget. Was awarded the $408,000. Thanks again to Comms for helping on a couple of press releases on that. From Prairie Scan, request for tender was completed and closed March 15th. And we informed Landform that they were the successful bidder on April 5th. And then Wednesday of this week, we have our pre-construction meeting. And so things are progressing well on that. The housing strategy, obviously a hot topic and impacting Valerie and employers in the tourism industry. As we heard earlier, we completed the terms of reference quite early in the year, issued the RFP March 1st. It closed March 22nd. Myself, Dave, and April are on the evaluation committee, and we met late last week, and we're just finishing up the finer points on that, and we'll be awarding in the very near term. The extended tourism strategy was presented to council last quarter as well. And you could see many of those themes in Travel Drumheller's strategy. Lastly, the merchandise sales, Erica, Brett, myself have been working closely with the chamber to come up with some great branded items. And yeah, we've put together a deal with them on the terms. And so you'll be able to see those before May long weekend down at the Visitors Information Center for sale. And we're getting those to other businesses. That's my update. If anybody has any questions.
Questions, anyone? Go ahead, Tom.
How come I'm the only one asking questions? Anyways, I just wondered about the movie that's in town right now. Is this the same movie? They've been here for a while? Because I've heard about this for the last month or so.
No, if the movie that's in town now arrived on Friday, and so they're wrapping up production Tuesday. But we did have one, so that's our second film this year. That's been in town, and so since end of March 2021, we've had 13 in total. So busy year in film.
Crystal, go ahead.
I feel like I have asked lots of questions this council meeting, Councillor Zariski, but I probably will never ask as many as you until I get into it, as many years as you have. Just quick question in regards to the extra funding for the downtown plaza. Will that include a new design, or that money is to be towards the final design that was approved?
So yeah, so we're awarded the tender for the scope that was within the RFT. The addition to that design will be a all-season washroom that's accessible, and that'll be included in the with the new funding as well.
That is what I was hoping you would say, so thank you.
Anybody else? Well, first off, Councillor Zariski, you ask a lot of questions, and that's good. So nothing wrong with that. That's for your job. Okay, so the housing strategy, you're going to assign somebody here, hopefully in April, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then in that housing strategy with the old, because this gets asked a lot, so I might as well just ask it, is, of course, everybody knows the whole of the hospital is going down, and we're going to have to get a interest shown in that area, correct? But that's not part of this, is it, or yes?
Well, my next strategic objective is to look at an expression of interest for that property. So depending on what we get back from the market on responses, like it could very well be a residential development in that area. So, and that will link into the housing strategy, because we're trying with the housing strategy to generate interest in developing residential.
Right, so your expression of interest, like, you know, that could be like a seniors community sort of thing. Different things that come into it, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then I know that this isn't on your strategic priority, but it's obviously a question we get asked a lot. So are you getting any, I know that we're filling our buildings downtown, we're filling them in the industrial area. At some point, we're going to have to look at future lands for industrial, but are we getting any traction on new bigger businesses? Are there anybody coming to us through, or are you reaching out to anybody through, you know, different, because we always hear that they're still looking for that average to above average income threshold for a business that can help employ more people. So I assume you're working on that more. Have you had any more bites, any more interest? Have we got people still looking at us?
Yeah, so we're still working the pipe drive leads, and we had one industrial property sell last year, Greenfield, which is good news. So yeah, still working that angle on the investment attraction side of things. And we definitely hope that we'll see more now that our vacancy for industrial is so low.
Okay, but we are looking for those businesses that can get more employment here in the valley, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a big question, gets asked 99% of the time when economic development comes up. That's what you're working on, and I do say you are, so I just want to reinforce that. I hope I'm not speaking at a school.
No, you're not. We work with local business as well too, and working on investment attraction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Council, anything else? All right, Reg, thank you. Now we shall move on. I'd like to just give an update on advocacy. So obviously our CN rail lease is done. So that's one thing off our advocacy list. The EMS module, I just want to thank Brett and Erica for sharing the survey that EMS had put out. I'm not sure if any of you saw some of the information today. I did share that with the medical committee. But thank you to all those in the community who filled that out, council who filled that out, because we are continuing to advocate on behalf of the residents for EMS. And it looks like they're doing some really positive changes. So I will continue to stay on that committee and continue to advocate for that. Yeah. Okay, I think that's it on advocacy. So now we shall move on to, okay, we are at a time where we have to go and close meeting due to VoIP concerns regarding resiliency and flood mitigation in the advisory committee and municipal facility information asset management. So council, can I get a motion, please? Go ahead, Stephanie.
I motion that council close the meeting to the public to discuss the items under section 10.1 of the April 11th, 2022 agenda as per FOIP 23 and 24.
Seconder, please. Somebody, Patrick. All right, all in favor? Carried. So thank you to the listening public at 6:35. I appreciate you hanging out with us. We had a couple meetings in there that we had to get through. So once we are done this section, we will be done for the week. So wishing you all a fabulous week. Next week, reminder that the public hearing April 19th regarding the Riverside Drive berm design is next week. If you're interested in attending. Otherwise, have a great week and we shall chat soon. Thanks again.